morning and welcome to Viewpoint, your program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. We have personalities galore this morning, and perspectives, we hope. Politicians, well, we'll be in the ash can somewhere. We always try to start Viewpoint with a kudo or two, and I have a really nice one this morning for our Mayor Welch. Somebody called Mayor Welch and tell him to listen to this. His street and alley department, you know, we have terrible streets in our town. We all know that. And where I live in the Christian Village, the 8th Street ends, and that's a blacktop street, and then it becomes concrete in the village. And we had a couple of bad potholes there at where the blacktop and the concrete meet. And I just picked up the phone one day and called Streets and Alleys Department, and a very nice lady took care of things. And within a couple of days, those potholes were fixed. So Mayor Welch, go in the city Department of Streets and Alleys and buy him a cup of coffee, or maybe something a little stronger. That's all right. Anyway, kudos to them. Okay, this morning we have three lovely ladies this morning, and the old man can hardly handle all this morning. We have Colleen Roate, young lady to my right. If you folks are looking on the screen, go to the left. It's Lisa Drew. And her husband is a very, very active fellow in town with the Logan County Farm Bureau and other nefarious activities that I don't know anything about or talk about. And then we have, of course, Marcia Cook. And Marcia and her husband own a very historic building here in this town. We're going to talk about that just a little bit. She owns that building next to the post office, which is the Oddfellows building. And formerly, in the days of my vaunted youth, well, not so vaunted, really. Anyway, in the days of my misspent youth, that building was the house for the Lincoln Courier. We might want to talk about that just a little bit. So, good morning, ladies, and I'll turn the microphone over to whoever would like to be the firstest. Go right ahead. Lisa, Mrs. Drew?
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for having us this morning. We really appreciate it.
The activities the reason you ladies are here, you're very vitally involved in what's going on in downtown Lincoln. And I didn't pick these off the courthouse square because they're three of the prettiest girls we know. They're very busy, and the work they do inures to our benefit, those of us who are citizens of the community. So who would like to take the lead on what's going on downtown? Well, Marcia.
Well, go ahead, Marcia.
Well, what's exciting is we have our third Friday in June, the 16th, and this time we're going to have Nashville Night, which is going to be a huge celebration, a big party for the downtown businesses. We're going to have food, games, music, all kinds of fun things. I'll let Lisa talk a little bit more about all the bands that we have, and there's a lot happening this month downtown.
Well, these things just don't happen because Friday comes and we're going to do something Friday. These things are on the planning board, and that's why I thought it'd be nice to have the ladies who are at the bottom end of this food chain on the planning and how things get done. Things don't just get done because somebody thinks it'd be a nice thing to do. It takes planning, it takes a lot of work, and so I tip my hat in the direction of you three ladies for being involved in this because it inures to the benefit of the entire community. So let's talk about this third Friday business, or whatever it is you want to talk about here.
Yeah, Third Friday's downtown. It's been happening for maybe 6 or 7 years so far. I've been chairing for the last 3. And it's just a great way to bring our community together and celebrate. We have a beautiful downtown. I mean, all the new businesses, the streets are large, the courthouse. I mean, it's just a nice time to get together. And sometimes we take for granted what we have, and just to celebrate, unite as a community and share just good times, have fun together, and maybe bridge some gaps from time to time. There's tons of resources that we have down there, lots of businesses. This month we actually have 67 vendors. So I think this is the largest that we've ever had out of the vendors. So that's community groups, businesses. We have a little artisan fair over on McLean Street. And then we have lots of things for the kids to do. Yeah, there is a lot of planning involved. We've been planning and meeting since May beginning of April, actually, we started meeting. But the talk started in probably January of what we're going to do this year. So you're right, there's a huge committee of people that come together to bring this for our community and for families to get together. So we're grateful, and we should appreciate all the volunteers and all the downtown businesses that spend a lot of time and extra energy to bring this to our community.
Well, as Groucho Marx said, you said the secret word, the ducks come down, you said volunteers. That's the secret word. Colleen, we rolled you out of bed early this morning, come and visit with the Logan County citizens. Where are you fitting this food chain?
So I'm co-owner of Spirited Republic, and we're one of the venues for Nashville Night this time. There's 7 venues with 7 different music acts, bands, acoustic entertainers, and stuff like that. So we're just kind of one of those venues this time. And the music starts at 5:30, and we kind of stagger them all, so not all the bands or all the music groups are playing at the same time. So they can play, some of them start at 5, ours doesn't start, we have stereotypical. It's a full band that starts at 7 and goes till 10. I know the Alibi is having Harmony Grits. The Foxhole's having Biloxi Blues. Ethan at Guest House is having, I'll have to look that one up. Aaron Elijah. And then Sorrento's is having Lincoln's Dead.
I hear about Sorrento's. I understand that's a very nice place to eat.
It's pretty darn good. We certainly enjoy pizza from there.
And seriously, I am serious about that as well. But it gives me a great deal of pleasure to see your success at Spirited Republic. Your partner, a young neighbor of mine, the Hanger Boys, we were catty-corner from them for years on Lincoln Avenue there. And as a kid, I used to walk across the street and listen to his grandfather practice piano.
Yep.
Those are the days when Dave Hanger would go to the Christian church and play the organ for the services, and Dorothy Hanger, his wife, would go to the First Presbyterian Church and play the organ. Now that's a little history way back.
Yeah, definitely.
And this kid used to walk across the street on Sunday afternoon and just sit and listen to Dave Hanger practice.
Oh.
So there's a lot of finite ties there.
Right, absolutely.
Basically, this has been a good venture for you, and it's a nice thing to have downtown. One of the things that spins off to you as a competitive restaurant, but it's different to have the upstairs at Gazzardo's right behind the Spirited Republic, and that's got to help a little bit.
It helps significantly. That's the whole reason we chose that spot when we first decided to open up a place. Yeah.
Lisa?
Yes, Bill?
I just thought I'd dangle the hang out there and see what. You have been vitally involved in downtown Lincoln, even before Sorrento's. Your family has been involved in downtown Lincoln. Well, way back, I go back to Kirpin's Corner, which was a grocery store on the corner of Chicago Street and Pulaski, and so there's a lot of history there. You've seen a lot of things since the Kookaroo family came to town.
Absolutely. Sorrento's has been around since 1969, and in fact, this Friday, which is June the 9th, will be Sorrento's 54th birthday in downtown Lincoln.
Oh my
Say, that's a good reason. That's a good reason. Get your friends together. Get your friends together. And this Friday?
This Friday is Sorrento's birthday, 54 years in downtown Lincoln.
Well, let's help the Drew family surrender our time to make that a real big deal. So this Friday, you're going to serve special meals, and but I don't know of anybody that ever went out there that didn't have a good meal. So it's not good. The meals aren't going to be more special than every day. So tell us a little bit about what you have on the books for that.
We don't have a whole lot planned for our celebration this Friday. We'll probably run a couple of specials or something for the birthday. But we've been focusing a lot on what the upcoming event, which is next week, is Third Friday Nashville Night, next Friday. And besides the bands and all of the venues and the Nashville type atmosphere, we are also going to be selling pizza by the slice outside. There's going to be probably some other types of food available right there, or you can come in and we have a pizza that we only serve during Nashville Night every year, where actually it'll be for the whole month of June, and it is a Nashville hot chicken pizza. And so that is kind of our special event for the month of June, our special food. It is so good, and if you're adventuresome, I would say, and even if you're not, I would say try it. It is really, really good.
Something we don't try often enough here is getting our commercials on time. The old man fools around, he looks at the clock, and all of a sudden we've gone for 25 minutes or so forth, and we have not failed to recognize our sponsors. So go right ahead, Mr. Rash. Right back live in the studios here. The program, of course, is Viewpoint, that vaunted call-in talk shows. By the way, 648-5510 would be a number to call. Listen, you folks out there, pay attention, because you'll find out what's going on downtown Lincoln. It's just more than stores being open to sell you things. There's a camaraderie of the downtown merchants that they work together, and it inures to everybody's benefit. We have some very nice stores around our square. We have some unusually nice stores. Matter of fact, a couple of stores I think of, they probably couldn't operate if they were on North Michigan Boulevard. They'd have to have a police in front of the door all the time. By the way, have any of our merchants experienced any things like shoplifting downtown at all? I'm just curious. That's a serious question. I'm not being facetious at all. But I just wonder if that problem has reared its ugly head around it. No, they're all blank, so apparently that's the case. That's not the case. Third Fridays, you've had bands come in, and then some of our merchants that serve food and or drink put chairs and so forth out on the street. Depending upon the weather, that can be a very nice thing for the community.
Yes, it is. It's great. There's a lot of people that come down there, and by adding Nashville Nights to it last year, I think, wasn't that, Marcia, like one of the biggest Third Friday events
Absolutely.
to date?
I think it was a great collaboration between the downtown group and the City of Lincoln, because the City of Lincoln sponsors and puts on the Third Fridays, and then being part of the downtown group that we had talked about doing Nashville Nights for years, and it's like, let's just bring them together and make this huge event for everybody. And last year was probably we had probably 1,000 or more people at least downtown, and I expect more this year.
Yeah, it was great to see, and she mentions our downtown group. We've been meeting regularly probably for, I'd say, the last 4 or 5 years. It was probably 2019 when I just had the idea that I wanted to bring businesses together and figure out a way that we could help each other and promote each other rather than just be a standalone business as a group. And Kathy from Small Town Creations was new to business at that time, and I began talking to her, and we decided that we were going to initiate having meetings and inviting all of the business people downtown, the business owners who were interested in coming and being a part of that. And I think in the beginning, I was probably more like thinking at one event at a time and not really knowing how long that it was going to last. But we're going strong, and we have more. We have such a large group now. I mean, sometimes it gets really small depending on what people have going on, but each time we have a meeting, there are so many business members there and people that care about the community, but mostly I'd say the most important thing is that we care about each other as a group. We care about what happens in our downtown, and I think that only enhances and helps people to want to come down there by our kind of camaraderie and working together. What a
positive comment to make people care about one another. You don't see a hell of that going on the Main Street anywhere today. There's this business of me first it just doesn't work, and it certainly wouldn't work here in Lincoln-Logan County. It's wonderful that you folks have gotten together on a cooperative basis to see what you can do to help one another, not just your own business. That inures to the benefit of all the citizens down there, because they get to see and do different things. This business about Third Friday, that's a good thing.
It's a great thing. We have really seen it grow exponentially over the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, we've been there from the beginning, and we would see people come down, and they didn't exactly know what it was. But last year, I would say every third Friday was just so well attended. We were very lucky with the weather. But I mean, it was just amazing how many people come out and how many people look forward to it. We're constantly being asked for the date. I'm always like, well, it's the third Friday, but specific date. But I mean, it is amazing, and I have to give kudos to the Third Friday Committee, because they have just stuck with it and grown it, and there's something new every year, and it takes a lot of work. And so, there's a whole committee that works on that. And then, of course, the day of and the volunteers. It's amazing, and it helps our businesses. So we are very grateful for that. We really are.
It occurs to me as I sit here and enjoy the conversation back and forth, in your particular business, young lady, it makes it, for instance, you recently had a gathering for Senator Sally Turner there. And the old man opted not to go because I've been using a walker, and I didn't want that walker to stumble over somebody. So I decided to pass on that, and
right.
I didn't want to do that. But anyway, that probably had to be a very nice thing for the community. And it's nice for the politicians and other people who have other businesses that want to create a place to have a little camaraderie and gather people in and show their appreciation. So you offer something different in the community.
Yeah, that was... that's been a nice surprise. When we added on the extra room, because a big problem we had at the beginning was we were just always so full. But we had that extra room, and it has become, that was just supposed to be overflow, but it became more of a gathering place, like you said. We host political events, and we've had weddings there. We've had wedding receptions, birthday parties, and showers and stuff like that. So it's been a nice surprise.
Marcia, you're in an historical building downtown. You and your husband bought the Oddfellows building. Many people didn't realize that the Oddfellows Lodge actually built that building. And as Jim and I were talking off air, all of us, there used to be law offices, real estate offices, dental offices. So you have a historic old building there. And then for a long time it was a furniture store, and that made a different approach to the way things were peddled downtown. And before that, the history of the Logan County was being recorded there by the Lincoln Courier. Do you have any stories to tell about the Lincoln Courier, its long history there?
I think it was 1930 maybe that they were there for about 15 years, and they actually had their press in the basement, and then there was an elevator in the back that they would bring the papers up. And yeah, they had quite a history there, and then they moved over across the street there on
I used to go to the back
Plaskey.
door and get the courier to deliver it every day. And then, of course, have to go out and collect on Saturdays. And I'll tell you, the comment we'd get about half the time, well, I'm a little short, Billy, can you come back next week? And that was true for all newspaper carriers at that time. But the owners of that building, or the renters from the Oddfellows, the Nugents, were unusual people. I guess we could just say different.
So are we, so we fit in just perfect with the building. Couple of artists, artists are a little eccentric.
I'm mindful of the
sometimes.
FCC and Jim's license, so I want to be very careful where I went with that. But seriously, your building has seen a lot of history in this town. And there are some real characters in its history. And I think at this point in time, I'll just defer to some other subject, because I'm thinking of a couple now which I don't want to get sued about. Go ahead. What is your immediate plan now? We got something coming up real quickly.
Yeah, this Friday we have an opening reception for an art show. Randy Washam, he's a local photographer. He's going to have a solo show of his work, and then we also are going to have a collection of the paintings that Jason has done with the kids over the third Fridays over probably the last 5 years. So he would do the paintings, and kids would come and make their mark on them. So it's kids, I don't know how, hundreds of kids probably have done these paintings from Lincoln area, and we're going to have those on display as well on Friday from 5 to 8, and then we're open every Friday 5 to 8 now.
Art for art's sake is the oldest expression. Now, I do not know good art or bad art. All I know is if I look at something, I like it or I don't like it, and that doesn't make it either good or bad. But it's interesting to have our local artists have their subject appear on the walls down there, and we can go down there and look and see what we're producing here in Lincoln, Illinois.
Yeah, there's some amazing artists here locally and regionally too. We have members that are from Springfield, Bloomington that come and show. So after this one, we're going to have a show in July for Herb Eaton. He's a Bloomington artist. And then in August, during the Balloons Over 66, we're going to have a collective of a lot of different members. So it's a whole big group show of different artists over the Balloons Over 66 event.
Now, are your artists who display their works, are those particular items, are they for sale?
Yes, everything's for sale. Yes,
Everything's for sale.
everything.
Absolutely.
Even Jason's work. He says, "Oh, that's not for sale." I said, "But there's a price for everything, babe."
Well, that's fair enough. My mother became an artist by virtue of the numbers paintings. That's a long time ago, and she was living in a Kirpin building, which was an apartment building, and she had some bad problems, couldn't get up down the stairways. So one day she called me and says, "Can you find me some of those, what they call numbers paintings?" Well, I went to Marcucci's store, which was the confectionery store there on the corner, and sure enough, they had a little corner back there, so I bought her a couple of bucks, some numbers paintings. Well, that was very boring to her, and soon, when she got mobile, she started taking art courses at Lincoln College, and took art courses from one of our local artists here, Leola Dowling, who's now long gone, and then later she and another lady, she moved to Green Valley, Arizona, so they could get out in the open and paint. And she became quite a decent painter. And I think of that because it filled a great void in her time. And that's something that God either gives you the ability, or you don't have the ability to be a painter, or an artist of any kind, for that matter. Do you have local membership? How do they display their paintings at your building?
The members contact us, or we contact them to be a member of the group that we have there, and it just varies every year what we're going to do from one year to the next, and what kind of shows we're going to host. Sometimes there's themes to them, sometimes it's just an open theme, whatever you want to do. It varies. And you was talking about classes, and we do have kids art classes that we teach every week, and that's something that has been ongoing since we got the building. We have an instructor that comes in, and their ages 5 to 10, so the young ones, and it's amazing, like the gift that they have already. But some artists say that you can learn it. Anybody can learn it. There's a process to it, and anybody can actually learn it. I'm not so sure because I've tried and I'm not there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there is people that just naturally come in with this gift and can just create beauty.
Well, Moses was an artist. Did he study art, or was he self-taught? How did Moses become an artist?
He was self-taught, and he actually went to college for philosophy. Imagine that. And when he got older and was retiring, taking care of his wife, that was his therapy. So art can be therapy for a lot of people. You get in there and just you're expressing yourself and letting things out through the strokes or through repetitiveness, kind of like a meditation. So that was his therapy. And then he wanted to share it with everybody else and allow a space for the community to show their work. So he started that in 2010 is when we started having art shows.
Lisa, tell me about how this Third Friday thing got started. That's a nice thing for the community to have. It's a draw for somebody to go downtown and have a good time and have something nice to eat, or quaff a beer or two. That's not disallowed, as long as we behave ourselves. So how did Third Friday get kick-started?
Well, Third Friday is really Marcia's, she's the expert on that. So I'll let her kind of tell the history of Third Friday, and then I'll be happy to speak about the Nashville night part of that, if that's...
Okay, here we go.
The Third Fridays, I'm not sure what year it actually started. Like I said, I started chairing in 3 years ago. But the city of Lincoln actually allocates money for this, and they sponsor the whole event, which is a wonderful thing. And Tracy Welch is the co-chair, and he's been part of that since the beginning. And Peggy Bateman is a big part of what happens too. She does a lot of the work, and then a lot of just community members. The Park District does a lot of volunteerism, and they do most all the kids' activities. So I think it's maybe 10 years possibly that it's been going and getting bigger. Like she said, I think it's getting bigger every year. And 67 vendors, I don't think we've ever had 67 vendors. And that's not counting like the businesses that are downtown. So it's growing. And a little bit for everything. It's a family-friendly event, so a big area for the kids, adults. We have antique cars. We'll have a little metaphysical area with vendors from the Moksha Center. So there's a little bit for everyone pretty much.
So the Nashville night portion of this upcoming Third Friday, last year was our first year. This will be our second year doing that. The way that got started is our downtown group that I previously mentioned. We mostly focus on retail events and things that have to do with how we can promote the retail side, and the bars and restaurants. We are in on that too. We help out with that, and especially our Christmas event that we do every year. That is our main event, and I got to thinking, how can I help the bars and restaurants to have their own event? And when I went to Nashville, and all of a sudden it hit me, we could do a Nashville type of event downtown. We have enough really nice quality bars and restaurants where people love together, such as, Spirited people love that. And we just have the ability to do that if people were interested in it. So I brought the idea forward, and then COVID happened. So we weren't I think it was probably like 2019 when I kind of thought about it, and then COVID happened, so we weren't able to do that for a couple of years. And then last year we decided that we would do that, but rather than doing a standalone event, we thought that it would be nice to kind of combine it with Third Friday and see what happens.
Well, I'd like to go back to the Nashville Nights. Mm-hmm. Talk more about Nashville Nights, and what do we plan? What's going to be the drawing down there besides nice people?
Well, like in Nashville, there's going to be a lot of music. So think of it like a mini music city for the night. We have 7 venues this time that are participating, and if I may, I'd like to name them, and I'd like to name the people who are also sponsoring this event, because without them, we couldn't kind of do a lot of the things that we are doing. So the 7 venues are Spirited Republic, Sorrento's, Flossie's and Delzina's, Rio Grande, the Foxhole, Guest House, and Alibi. And as Colleen mentioned, we are going to be staggering the start times. So, feasibly, you could probably visit each of those bands at different times and still get all of them. So I think Flossie's is starting about 5 or 5:30 as we are, and I think Rio Grande may be starting around that time, maybe a little bit later. So come on downtown and kind of stroll around and enjoy the different bands and the different music that you'll hear. There's got to probably be a mixture of music. There's pop, there's country, Rio Grande is having some mariachi music. So I think there's something for everybody.
They haven't hit me yet, Jim.
Classic rock.
No, rock won't get me down there either. It's got to be jazz. Southern, New Orleans style jazz is what.
Well, we'll work on that for next year.
Yeah, I could get you a clarinetist. We could bring anybody from Cairo to Rockford to hear him, but I don't think we'd get him out of Connecticut to get there for Logan County. But my goodness gracious, he can take a reed and just absolutely split it. It's just incredible the way he can play. Anyway, that's my style of music.
In addition,
The Nashville style, I'm kind of hanging on by the fringe there on that. So you've got this planned out. Let's give us the dates for this Nashville thing so we can get people to plan ahead on this.
okay, it's next Friday, not this Friday, the following Friday, June the 16th. It's going to start at 5:30, which is when Third Friday also starts. And it will go until probably around 11 o'clock by the time we're all finished. In addition, this year I'd like to mention that we also have Audra's Studio of Dance, kind of on the corner of Pulaski and McLean Street. They're going to have some cloggers, and then later on in the evening, Audra herself will be doing some line dance instruction for people who are interested in doing that. So that should really add a lot of fun to it too. We'd like to mention our sponsors. We're so grateful for. We have 2 event sponsors for the event. I3 Broadband and Tremont First National Bank. So big thank you to them for being a part of this event by contributing and sponsoring it for us so that we're able to have some things and some bands that maybe we could not have before. We're really thankful for that. In addition, we have Prairie Land Title and Brian Clark State Farm, who are Rockstar sponsors. They are our cup sponsors. Their names are on the plastic cups that we'll be distributing from the different venues throughout the night, as long as they last. Then we also have, what is the name of the next sponsorship? Okay, I didn't write that one down.
Rockstar sponsors?
Are they the Rockstar?
Yeah.
No, that was the cup sponsor. So the next one is the
Opening act sponsors.
the opening act. I'm sorry, I didn't write that one down, but I wrote their
let that
names.
happen.
I wrote the names down.
Don't
but
let that happen again.
okay, I'll try. Good thing I have Colleen, because she's had that. So the opening act sponsors are Grau Incorporated, Christine Short, Edward Jones, Tiffany Weinbrenner of USA Mortgage, Joe Ryan of Country Companies, Michelle Bauer, Country Companies, Matt Arnold of Greamy Arnold Insurance Company, Heartland Bank, and ME Realty. So thank you to all of those businesses for partnering with us as well. In addition to that, this year we received grants from 2 different places, and one of them was from the Logan County Board, and the other is from tourism. So thank you very much to all of those people who went out of their way and provided for us so that we can have a great event downtown, not only for ourselves, but this is for the community and the people who come down there to enjoy this and just to have a good time together and to enjoy a good evening.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that the Logan County Board is a sponsor. A governmental agency taking care of the business of our county. They see fit that this is an appropriate way for them to drop a couple of bucks as a sponsor. And so hats off to whomever on the board made that suggestion, because they're promoting their own county.
Absolutely. We are very happy that they're willing to do that, and always appreciative of their involvement and their help in events such as this. In addition, I would like to thank Colleen, who has done the designing of our shirts and our posters and the banners that you will see around town. She's the one that's responsible for all of that. She's our graphic designer.
Well, we need those.
She did a wonderful job.
I was going to get a shirt for my brother and send it to him, a Spirited Republic shirt, and he up and left us before I could do that.
Oh, no.
So don't ever put off something that you think is a good idea, folks.
That's true.
So,
That's a way to live through life, for sure.
You know, now that's Spirited Republic. That's local. That is a local business, and it's fun to send one to Tucson, Arizona, and have somebody wear around the streets down there. What's the Spirited Republic? So you get a little extra publicity that way,
Absolutely.
which is a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had people be on vacation and they'll send us a picture of somebody else they saw wearing a T-shirt, or they'll take their T-shirts and wear them on vacation and then, send them to us to post. It's really fun.
Well, let's kind of begin to think towards wrapping up. We've got a few minutes left. But we don't want to forget anything. So if you girls want to take a glance at your notes and see the thing that you want to be sure and cover, we'll give you a while to do that. Won't we do that, Colleen? We can give them time to do that.
Yeah.
It's really important for the folks downtown, or for the community, not just the downtown folks, the folks who live in our community, the county, not just the city of Lincoln, to understand how hard people are working to come up with different ideas to generate activity and generate business. That's what it's all about. So I'm happy that you ladies would make yourself available to talk about some of these things, because most of us, we sit down and some of us get old and we just don't do anything but stay at home. There's a lot going on if we just get out of our chairs and come out or bring our wheels down.
We'll always part the seas for you, Bill. I mean, we'll always make sure you've got plenty of room.
Well, I wave my cane in advance, so
There you go.
clearing out a path as we go. But seriously, some of us will let ourselves get sot in our ways, and we don't get out and do things. And we need to understand that there are a lot of people out there working hard to create different ways for us to enjoy our days. Mm-hmm. And this Third Friday thing is a good idea. You go home and tell Drew that I said you came up with a great idea.
I will tell him that.
We got to keep him in line.
There's several things you told me to tell him today, Bill. I'm going to have to remember all of that.
Well, some of them we're going to talk about off air.
No, we'll talk about that later.
Who would like to kind of begin to wrap up as we begin to come towards the end of the hour?
I just had one thing that, there is a lot of people that's helping out with creating this event, but we do need a few volunteers for the kids' activities. We need some people to help man the inflatables. So we'll be having a press release going out soon, and then also on the Facebook page of the Third Fridays, we'll have a sign up for anybody that wants to just spend 1 hour of their night helping us out so that we can have the inflatables for the kids. The committee members are spread pretty thin, so that is one need that we have, is just 1 hour of your time on that Friday night to watch the kids get on or off the inflatables for the Third Friday. So we'll have that sign up soon. If anybody could help us out, I'd appreciate it.
Now, where do these inflatables come from? Is it an outside supplier for those?
Yes.
Now, how did you happen to come up with the idea of who does what? How do you know where to go to get inflatables?
A lot of resources. I think people's been doing these events for a long time, and you just start figuring out where everything is.
It's just it's a collaboration of ideas and thought and planning. So one or two people can't make it work.
Absolutely not. No, we have the committee is about 10 people of just the committee, and then we have extra volunteers on top of that help set up, help tear down, help man the different areas, close the streets. There's a lot that happens, and it's fun though. It's fun. We get together and we bond through it as well, in the city, and it's great that the city of Lincoln sponsors this.
Well, there's an expression, I think it emanated from one of my least favorite politicians. It takes a village. And I think that
Absolutely.
I'm not going to give credit where I think it is, because I don't want to mention her name. It does take a village, and this morning is a good example of that. Here are three ladies, and they're just three representing our merchants downtown, and they're all hardworking. They're deserving of our time, and they're deserving of a couple of our bucks. So we thank you very much for being with us, ladies.
Thank you for having us, and I would just invite everybody to come down for this, for all the third Fridays, and to remember that the next third Friday is also Nashville night, and there is going to be so much fun and so much going on down there. So come down and join us.
Thank you, Lisa Drew. Thank you, Marcia Cook and Colleen Roate. I had to stop and look at that last note. The old man's not as sharp as he was 2 days ago. So, thank you very much for Viewpoint.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.